There's something going on in the sneaker world right now, and it's centered on the Dunk line. And what I'm talking about is a recent video we did for the Spring Waters, a beautiful shoe. But on that shoe, there was something like 10 different hits that all could have stood alone. You could have had just one of those hits on a shoe, and people would have gone, fire, this is the most amazing shoe I've ever seen. But instead of just spreading it out across a bunch of shoes, they were like, right, cram it all into one shoe. And that's what we've got here today with these right here, this Nike Dunk Low that we're doing with this Flip the Old School. There's like 1,000 hits in this thing, and they could have spread them across a bunch of different shoes, but instead of doing that, they've crammed it all into one shoe. But that's great for us because we get to see an amazing looking shoe with tons of little details on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through as much as I definitely know about the shoe, where the flips are, what the unique placement is of stuff on there is, even the materials used, because they flip into ostrich leather at one particular point in the shoe as well. But then there's also things I'm not 100% sure of, but I can make a pretty solid guess on. So we'll get into that today as we take a close-up look at the upcoming release of the Nike Dunk Low Women's, but it doesn't count, Flip the Old School. This is the Tokyo About a 23 Secret Channel. Tokyo About a 23 Secret Channel です。毎日アップするので、毎日見てください。Every single day. From Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And today in the spotlight is the upcoming release on May the 12th of a Nike Dunk Low, not SP Dunk Low, not SP Dunk Low Pro, the Flip the Old School Women's. And I said just a couple of seconds ago, the women's, but it doesn't count because these are already on the sneakers app here in Japan. Now, the place I look online to get my information and research the videos before I bring you guys this daily content is they're saying they don't know when it's going to release. Summer of 2021 is the usual thing that you see when they've aiming for a bunch of months and hoping for the best. But these are already on the sneakers app here, alongside two Air Force Ones, if I remember rightly, one Air Force One for women's and one Air Force One sort of full size run. And they all have the same kind of feature, which is this outside, I'm calling it a shroud, even though it isn't really a shroud because it peels away and it's not replaceable like a shroud. You could put it on and take it off multiple times. But it's a sort of extra layer on the outside. It's just made of tissue paper, nothing special, rips away to reveal the shoe below. And that's kind of the similar thing across the two Air Force Ones and these Dunk Lows. And like I said, it says it's a women's, but according to my sneakers app here in Tokyo, Japan, the size runs all the way up to 29 centimeters, which is about a US 10 or 10 and a half. Now I'm a US 12 and a half, so that ain't happening. Full stop, just park that idea right there. I'm not cramming my feet into a pair of shoes that are 2 centimeters too small. I mean, I'd have to lose all my toes to do that, you know what I'm saying? So that ain't gonna happen, but still, it's enough of a size run for me to say, you know what, if you're interested, most people out there, men or women, will be able to get their hands on these and they'll fit if they go up to round about a US 10 and a half. I'm not sure what 29 centimeters converts to in US sizes, but that makes these more accessible than you might have thought with that women's sort of run on there. So it's got that opportunity for a lot of people out there. Now there's a bunch going on, so I need to get into that as well now. So we've parked that bit about the due date. We know that it's coming on May the 12th according to the sneakers app Japan. Don't know about the rest of the world. And we know that there's a lot going into the shoe, and it's a bigger size run than I was expecting. But now we need to get into a lot of different things about the shoe itself. Now we've got the reverse part of it, we've got the mismatch part of it, and we've got the materials part of it. I'm going to start on the materials part very quickly and zoom in for you guys on the green screen behind me here on that ostrich leather sections of the shoe. Ostrich leather? Ostrich leather? What does that look like? Ostrich leather just hanging out on a deck chair. The ostrich leather parts of the shoe, you can see that distinct kind of irregular dimple. It's not really a dimple, it's more of a bump pattern that runs through ostrich leather. Snake skin and crocodile leathers and stuff like that, they have a much tighter knit to them, and they also have kind of more regular squares and things like that. But these guys, because of that irregular circle in there, we're saying ostrich leather on there, and that's a really soft leather to make a pair of shoes out of. So it's unique of itself. And if they went with this colorway, I'm going to say purple on grey, even though that's not quite right for one of the shoes, and then just made one part of that ostrich leather, people would be like, wow, what a fantastic shoe. I'm definitely going to get my hands on that. But they went two past that, not even just one, two past it, and one's to the mismatch, and the other one is to flipping things upside down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a picture and chuck it up behind me here to give you an idea of what I mean by mismatch, because to me, what mismatch means is that if you have a two-tone shoe, the left shoe where it's the two tones, those colours are flipped out, and the opposite two tones on the right shoe. Now I'm going to put up behind me here one of the first shoes that I chased for YouTube, and this was back in about the summer of 2017, and I was lining up outside Atmos for their pair of mismatched dunks, and they were grey and blue, whereas these guys today are grey and purple, but it's the same mismatch where you've got the left shoe and the right shoe being the exact opposite of each other in terms of colour, and that's the mismatched side of things. And before we get off that colour part of it and into the flips of the upside downs and the back to fronts and all that kind of stuff, I will say that the first thing I thought of was Lakers because of the tongues, giving it a sort of gold hit on the purple that made me think of Lakers. I don't know if that's accidental. I know back in something like 1999 or 2000 there was a high in basically this colourway, but without that mismatch and without the ostrich leather on it, without the back to front stuff going on, and that's kind of why they're calling it flipping the old school, is because it has got history, but there's too much of a flip on it to actually make it a re-release or a resale of an original colorway. But that yellow up there, or the gold up there in the tongues with the purple, gives it a very Lakers feel. And I don't know if that has anything to do with LeBron, or if it has anything to do with championships, or if it's just by chance that it's coming out like that. But for sure, as soon as I saw these guys, I thought Lakers. Now, let's go with the swoosh first and foremost. It's upside down on the lateral side of the left shoe. This is something I know for sure, and I can show it to you and show you a beautiful picture, and you're like, yes, an upside down swoosh. I can guarantee that's upside down right there. It's not back to front, it's not lopsided, it's upside down. What I don't know is what the lateral side looks like on the right shoe. I'm assuming it's not upside down, and equally what I don't know is what the swoosh looks like on the medial side of the left shoe, whether that's upside down or not. Now here's what I'm going to go for, and I might be wrong in this, but because the left shoe is the one that's flipped and that's sort of upside down and back to front, I'm going to assume that on the left shoe that both swooshes are upside down, and on the right shoe both swooshes are regular. But there's an issue with the branding in one place that makes that quite a controversial statement. So basically, and I'm going to show you this in a second, you've got a lot of back to front and upside down branding on just the left shoe. However, in this place right here, that's the insoles on these. You can see that I think it's back to front Nike's branding on the insole on both of them, and that kind of disappoints me, because I know for sure, like for example, when we look at the tongues, hey, there's the tongues there, and you can see that the right shoe I think has the regular branding, and the left shoe has the flipped branding, so it's back to front in there, and that I think is the feature throughout the shoe, you know, having the upside down swooshes on the left shoe but not on the right shoe, that kind of stuff. And there's a real sneak peek. This is the tiniest, most tight angle in the world to have a look at the heels on these guys, but what it does tell you is it shows you that it starts with the E there. It's going to be back to front branding on the back of these guys. Instead of saying Nike, it's going to say E-Nike or something like that. So you've got that back to front branding on the heel, and you've got that upside down swoosh, and you've got the back to front branding on the tongues. But when you look in the insoles, instead of one of them being back to front, the other one being regular, it seems like both of them are regular. But that insole is a pretty good place to sort of bring it all back, because the insole, I don't know how easy it is for you guys to see this, but basically the idea is you've got a bunch of kids sitting on a wall, their legs hanging over the side of the wall, and they're all wearing dunks. So that's the kind of look that you've got there, and that's the same if we bring it all the way back to the top to that shroud on these guys. That's the same sort of feature on there. The design of the paper shroud on the outside is that same design as the insole, with the legs hanging off a wall and all the people wearing dunks left and right on that. So it's good to kind of bring it back full circle. Look at that. I think I've covered all the main points on the shoe. I didn't really get to the outsoles, so I might as well just go flip quick to the outsoles so you get an idea of what's going on those, and it fits the rest of the narrative of the shoe very nicely. And then back looking at probably the shrouded one alongside the left upside down swoosh one, so you've got an idea of both the different features that are going on in the shoe. And they're great looking shoes, and like I said, May 12th is when they're coming out, and it goes all the way up to 29 centimeters, so it's not the tiny size run that I was worried it would be, but still not big enough for someone like me. But hopefully you guys out there will go and grab yourself a pair and be fascinated and interested in these guys and love getting your hands on them. Fingers crossed if you're chasing for them. And that's it for today. Time to wrap this video up. Like I said, there's a couple of Air Force Ones that go alongside these guys coming as well that I haven't really looked into yet, but these guys are the one that grabbed my attention, especially since they're up there on the sneakers app already. It's well worth checking them out, and they're probably starting to get a better, wider, more known release around the world and not just in Japan. With that being said, it's time to finish this up and wrap it up for another day. So just do the thing I do at the end of every single video, which is remind you guys that I do this every single day. And when you do something every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.